Hi, I'm Grayson Steele, and today we're going to be looking at Hasbro's Star Wars The Black Series, and this is of Kylo Ren from Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now I have to apologise, I'm a bit behind on my figure reviews purely because September and November are mental for game releases, etc. So I'm going to try and catch up over the Christmas period with the figures that I actually have. You've probably seen a lot of them on Instagram, so just bear with me and I'll get those online as soon as I can. Now, Hasbro have been releasing Wave 1, which, you know, there's Finn, Rey, etc. So let's start with Kylo Ren and look at what we've got. It's the standard black packaging with the Star Wars logo, the nice motif of Kylo Ren's face in the corner. The back is pretty much the same with the big number 3 on the right hand corner. As far as his bio goes, this is quite interesting because they don't go into too much detail about who he is and what he does, but basically you get the idea that he is, and this is what it says on the back of the packaging, a dark warrior, strong with the Force. Kylo Ren commands First Order missions with a temper as fiery as his unconventional lightsaber. Now I have to say that this character, since we've seen quite a lot of the Star Wars trailers over the past year, he's a very interesting character. I would say he's more intimidating than probably Darth Vader, Darth Maul, and maybe even Palpatine. Okay, so after unpacking the figure, you can see straight away that Kylo Ren is a mixture of fabric and plastic. Now this usually isn't my kind of favourite combination because sometimes it can look really quite crap, but I have to give Hasbro some kudos here. It does give him an element that comes off quite well as far as a figure goes. I'm not really into, like I said, I'm not really into fabric or plastic. It has to be one or the other for me, but do you know what? It works. It looks good. So let's take a look at the lightsaber. Now the first thing you're going to notice with Kylo Ren's crossguard lightsaber is how rigid it looks. It has that unconventional look about it that you get from the films. When he suddenly turns it on, you can see it's, you know, almost spit, or, you know, it just doesn't look like the usual conventional lightsaber that we're used to seeing. I like the way that Hasbro have moulded it. It does look very, very good. I'm not keen on the fact that it's a whole one piece. The lightsaber hilt itself is nicely done. It looks weathered. It has, you know, it looks worn as if it was homemade. It has a lot of detail on it, which gives it that kind of, you know, typical wear and tear look. But you know, as far as the actual blade itself goes, it's a real pain. I find it not only difficult where it seems to only want to go in one particular way, it's just too finicky. And really what Hasbro should have done is given us the blade in 3 parts. So we have one either end and the actual blade hilt from the hilt itself. It being as one, just, I don't know, I think they just did it out of convenience rather than the fact that it would have, I personally would have preferred it as a 3-piece blade rather than a one that you have to try and, you know, somehow put on, and it's not as easy as what it looks. It's a bit unconventional for me. It just doesn't work that well. Now if we actually take a look at the figure itself, you can see the plastic and the fabric combined. You can see that his arms have that plastic look with like ridges in them, which is quite a nice effect. The fabric at the bottom is split. You know, it looks like a decent. I mean, the mask itself looks fantastic. I mean, you know, and the plastic that goes around his neck that goes towards his back is good. I like the fact that when, you know, you can actually remove his hood and you can have it down if you want, but it reveals a lot more about the mask itself. The detail in the silver going around his eyes. It almost looks like the mask is 2 parts, where you've got the helmet part, and then you've got like a front bit that fits on the front of his mouth. It's really nice. And then you've got the plastic cloak that follows round towards his back. And as you go down, there's a really nice pattern to his fabric of his lining of his costume. Then when you get to the bottom, it splits where underneath you'll find some plastic ridging like you find on his arms. I think either that's part of his costume or they're there to hold the fabric so it doesn't, so it gives it some kind of shape. His actual boots look really nice and shiny. Now this is something that I've noticed a lot with the Star Wars films, that the Galactic Empire seem to have the most shiniest boots going. We take a look at the back of the figure, you can see the nice cloak. Again, the whole combination of fabric and plastic seems to work all the way through this figure, which is quite surprising, but kudos to Hasbro. And as you go down to the bottom of his gown, you can see that underneath it's got the same plastic rigid fabric that you find on the front, as well as what was, that's the same sort of in line with what he has on his arms. Yeah, so all in all, it's a great looking figure. Hasbro have done a very, very good job, and I'm very pleased. But as far as if we get to the point now where we look at movement, this is an issue for me. Mainly to do with the head, because the head will move side to side, but I can't get it to move up and down, which is something I would have liked. But I think the plastic cloak that's underneath, unfortunately, there are some pros and cons. As we go to his arms, they rotate all the way around, bend and turn, turn and bend at the elbow, which is good. Nice bit of movement. His wrists follow around 360 degrees. There's a bit of movement in, but I mean, again, the hand is molded to hold his lightsaber. The other arm can only go up so high because of his cloak, because of the plastic cloak. But again, same thing. His hand is molded to hold his lightsaber, so you can hold it two-handed and have it accustomed to any particular stance. So articulation below his waist, the knees themselves move. The actual thigh moves. I mean, you can get full movement of his legs. They go backwards and forwards, despite the fact that you've got the plastic in the way, which is great. The foot itself, you can move up and down, left and right, which is very, very flexible. But yeah, I mean, for a figure like this, it works. I mean, I'm surprised you can get so much movement, considering the fact that we've got these plastic bits underneath his actual fabric. So yeah, Hasbro have done a really good job with that. So all in all, the actual figure itself is a really, really nice character of Kylo Ren, and I think Hasbro have done a fine job in replicating that. The only problems I have are the fact that his head won't move up and down as much. I mean, obviously that some things you have to give and take, but the main concern is the lightsaber, the crossguard lightsaber. I find it a bit cheap, the fact that you have one particular part that comes away from the hilt. Like I said before, I would have preferred it to be in 3 parts, just to give it that authenticity. I mean, I just don't believe that the actual blade itself looks like that in the film. It's 3 separate parts. So if I was to knock points off Hasbro's incarnation of Kylo Ren, that's probably my main point. But the rest, yeah, the fabric and the plastic work reasonably well together. I mean, probably better than most figures I've seen so far. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting Kylo Ren, he's definitely worth a buy. Just be in mind that the lightsaber's not as good as what it should be, in my opinion anyway. But I'll be reviewing more Wave 1 and 2 figures from Episode 7. Now I've got a bit more time. So please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. I'm Grayson Steele. Until next time.